once we get going?
Yes.
Okay. So yes, how do I do a call to order?
You can just do a roll call.
Okay, roll call. Yeah. So um, can we do can we do a roll call?
Yeah.
And
So
do I go down each person and they say here or
yes.
okay?
Steve, you are so cute doing this. You are. This is great. I love this.
um, so Jeff Burke,
Roger that. Here.
Chris Kiramitsu,
Here.
Fang Huan,
Here.
and I am here. So
Dr. Sawyer.
I'm here. Thank you.
oh, sorry.
Perfect.
Hello, Dr. Sawyer.
Okay, so next up would be our council liaison, who unfortunately I do not see on the meeting list right now.
Is that Dr. Schneider?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So then we can move on to the agenda items.
Okay.
Since
So we
council isn't here, we can go to number 2,
which is
Commissioner.
minutes.
Well, Commissioner Communications.
Commission. Okay.
So if you want to go down the list of commissioners and see if they have anything to report.
Okay. Does anyone have anything to report?
I would like to say on my part that I am always happy to be here, happy to be in the company of my fellow commissioners, and looking forward to striving to keep South Pasadena artified.
Thank you.
I have a comment. So I'm also happy to be here and see everybody. And Alana Mann, who is an artist who lives in our community and is part of Steve, the show that you're curating, the COLA awardees. She's part of a group of people who started the anti-racism committee, and I'm on it with her as well. So just wanted to share that. Everybody's welcome to be a part of that. And I'm excited about what we're gonna discuss today on the agenda with these young folks from the Anti-Bias Club from the South Pass High School on their mural.
Great. Thank you, Fang. Chris, any comments?
None at this time. Just excited to be here with all of you.
Thank you, Chris. And I am excited to be here. This is one of my few outlets, although I'm on Zoom meetings a lot. It's good to see everyone who I haven't seen in a while. But it's also great to be doing work. While a lot of things are frozen, it's good to know that hopefully the work that we do here are moving things along during our COVID crisis. So I do appreciate everyone's time for being here, and I do appreciate the staff that is helping facilitate this. Thank you, Margaret. And so thank you, everyone. So now do we move into meeting minutes? Okay, I'll just defer to you, Margaret.
Actually, I see Dr. Schneider joining us right now, so let's give him a minute and see if he has communications as well. Just give him a minute so that the audio can.
Okay, I'm here.
Hi, Dr. Schneider.
Hi, sorry to be
Hi,
late.
Dr. Snyder.
Glad to have you with us.
Trouble getting in.
Okay. So we did skip over City Council Liaison Communications. So if you have any communications that you'd like to share, this would be a great time to do that.
Well, give me a minute to think about it. Can we come back to this? I haven't thought about it at all.
Okay. Then,
that would be no problem, but I am anticipating any updates because I feel that I've been in the dark for some time, and especially since I missed the last meeting. But can we go back to that? Can we move on and go over minutes and then return to?
Sure, the chairman can do whatever they want.
Oh, that's awesome power that I do not know how to use.
You'll get used to it.
And so has everyone read over the minutes?
I move to approve the minutes as submitted.
A second? Was that a second?
I second. Yeah.
Okay,
Thank
great.
you. Mhm.
So then I move. I move to approve the meeting minutes,
You do.
or
you
I
call for
approve
a
it?
vote?
You call for a vote.
Oh, I call for a vote. Okay, thank you.
Well, usually you say, is there any discussion about this? And if there's no discussion, then say, move for a vote, all in favor,
Okay.
like that. Go ahead.
Okay. So, but the discussion should have happened before the motion.
No, first you have a motion,
Okay.
and then so once there's a motion on the floor, then you can discuss it and debate it and do whatever, and then you end the discussion and you vote.
Okay. So does anyone like does anyone want a discussion, or is there a discussion? Okay. So I move for a vote. Everyone,
All in favor?
all in favor? Aye.
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 Okay.
Okay. Minutes approved.
Dr. Sawyer, I see that he is with us, but we can neither see him nor hear him, so I'm not sure how he voted on that.
Dr. Sawyer, you're still on mute at the
Yo,
moment.
Jazz, you with us?
Oh, is Jazz here now too?
Yes.
I think he's been here.
Oh, wait.
So, Dr. Sawyer, you're still on mute at the moment.
I would guess he
I'm here.
abstained
I'm
then.
sorry.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, okay. So we couldn't hear if you voted in favor for approving the minutes.
I approve.
Okay, great. So it's a unanimous vote.
Okay, great.
So Dr. Schneider, would you like us to go back to City Council liaison communication?
I still haven't thought of anything.
Okay, we can always come back later.
Yes, let's come back. But I guess the main item on the agenda then, if we all don't mind moving on, is number 5, Black Lives Matter mural, and the recommendation from the ad hoc committee.
So the recommendation from staff is to create the ad hoc committee and to appoint the commissioners to the ad hoc committee.
Oh, okay.
Just to let you know, we do have representatives from the Anti-Bias Club, and they'll be able to provide us with a presentation. So I don't know if you want to have some discussion first, or if you'd like to have them present their proposal first.
Well, why don't does anyone like to discuss prior to the proposal, or should we just hear them out first?
Sure. Can I?
Okay. Yes, Fang.
So Dr. Marina Kubestrian, emailed me a while back telling me that the Anti-Bias Club of South Pass High School really wants to do this mural and asked that I attend these meetings, these community meetings, to hear about it. And I did. And then she sent an email asking, okay, maybe you can invite Steve and Jazz. And then she realized it would be violating Brown Act if the 3 of us showed up. So she asked me to choose one. So So I asked Dr. Jazz to go. So Jazz and I have been attending, just listening and giving some, feedback and advice. And so we would like to create an ad hoc subcommittee so that we can update the Public Art Commission and also just direct these young folks, in the process of and following procedures of public art policies and getting things done right. Jazz,
Sure.
do you want to add anything in case I left anything out?
No, just that, it was great supporting and learning from the young people and hearing from them in the area. So they really were a sharp and talented crew, and they really helped put things together, and we were glad to lend our support. So it was a successful ad hoc committee helping them out. So I think it went well.
I do appreciate that that 2 of us were representing and attending the meetings. I do think it's a really valuable organization, especially led by students. And I'm looking forward to discussing this. And so why don't we move on to bringing, unless Jeff, did you want to discuss anything?
I'm sorry, I was otherwise distracted.
Oh no,
Um,
I was just saying we should move and hear the presentation unless anyone has anything to discuss or question before we bring them on.
I'd love to hear it.
Okay, great.
All right, so I'll go ahead and let them into the room. And I'm going to share my screen so that we can view the presentation.
Thank you.
Bear with me for 1 minute.
I just want to say to my fellow commissioners, prepare to be blown away.
Oh, awesome.
Are we good to go?
Yes, you are.
Okay, awesome. Thank you all so much. I'm Noah Kuhn. I'm going to be a junior next year at South Pasadena High School, and I'm a member of the Anti-Bias Club.
Hi, everyone. I'm Lulu Telesnik. I'm also going to be a junior next year at South Pasadena High School, and I am part of the Anti-Bias Club.
Hi, my name is Maya Turan. I will also.
Hey, everybody. I'm Khalil Murdoch. I'm going to be a senior at South Pasadena High School, and I'm also part of the Anti-Bias Club.
Wait, I think I got at least cut off on Mai. I didn't hear a full introduction from her.
Oh, hi, my name is Maya Turan. I'm going to be an incoming junior in the fall, and I'm also part of the Anti-Bias Club.
Oh, awesome. Thank you.
You can go to the next slide now.
Okay, so a little bit about our club and our background. So I'm one of the club officers of the Anti-Bias Club, and our club was basically created after we attended a 2-day training from the Anti-Defamation League, which was in 2019. And we learned about the different forms of bias and how to create a more inclusive and respectful environment in our school. And we took this training and we really wanted it to apply to more than just the group that got trained. So we decided to create our club and open it up to anybody from the high school, anybody interested in joining. Along with the Instagram we created, we've been working on several projects this quarantine, including mental health awareness, promoting LGBTQ+ inclusivity at South Pasadena High School, and recognizing racism in our community. More specifically, we're working on creating a book to illustrate the racism, South Pasadena's racism in the past, and connect it to today. Next slide, please.
Hey, I'm Khalil Murdoch. I'm a senior. Basically, the inspiration for the mural was kind of, since we've seen a big surge in the Black Lives Matter movement after the deaths of people like George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, and Ahmaud Arbery, we wanted a long-standing image in our community that would represent the Black Lives Matter movement. So the main purpose is kind of to showcase Black lives, but also historical references to the racism in our community, and to show that our work against racism isn't done. And it also serves as a way to educate people. So we plan to use it as a way to show some of the things that people may not know about South Pass and demonstrate that on the mural. Go ahead to the next slide, please. Thank you.
So we have a few locations for the mural in mind. We have not sought city approval for them yet, but through corresponding with one of the council members, Dr. Kubestrian, she has, expressed that the city would be willing to do this and, offer support. So I guess the best case location would be at City Hall, because it's, center to the city and would kind of, make a statement that the city is supporting this. So I kind of put a photo. It's on that side by the gas station. So there's an arrow there to show. And then also by the library, which is city owned, so that we would just get approval for that. And a lot of people walk by there. So that would get a lot of publicity, I guess, and, people would see it. And then the backside of the high school track, there's kind of a lot of blank walls there on Meridian. And then the fourth option is at the Orange Grove Recreation. Right now there's tennis courts and basketball courts there, but in the past there was a swimming pool there. And, you know, that's actually an example of South Pasadena's history of racism because there was a lawsuit in the 1950s about discrimination over not letting a black girl come and swim at the pool. So that would kind of be a reminder, you know, of showing that we acknowledge our history and then also showing how we're going to move forward and recognize that and move forward with it. So those are the 4 locations we're considering right now. We don't know exactly the size of the mural, so that could impact our decision, but these are just what we have in mind. Next slide.
So I'm going to talk about the specific themes to include in our mural. So we want to highlight Black strength, power, and pride in this mural, and it will solely be representing Black people. Additionally, the mural will showcase the diversity and intersectionality of the Black community by depicting Black LGBTQ plus community members and Black women as well. The Black Lives Matter mural will display the connection and continuance of the civil rights movement, Black Power movement, and Black Lives Matter movement through famous figures of those respective movements and the everyday protesters of today. We want to also showcase famous Black artists and musicians to represent Black pride and expression as well. And instead of depicting victims of racism and police brutality, our goal is for the mural to show the resiliency and spirit of Black people. Hence, we're not going to show George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, or any other Americans murdered by the police. Lastly, we hope to connect these struggles for equal rights to South Pasadena and our local history of racism through symbolism of sun rays to represent the legacy of a sun downtown. This connection will be further explained in the plaque of the mural, so it does not need to be forced. And then on the next slide, we have a few mock-up sketches of like ideas we have. So basically, we want the main focus to be the modern day Black community in South Pasadena, but with our historical figures in the Black Lives Matter movement looking on to the present and future generations to show the continuation of the endurance of the Black community. Next slide, please.
Hi, so I'm going to talk a little bit more about the budget. So far, we think that the all-inclusive budget for the artwork would be $10,000. This would include artist fees, liability insurance, artist travel, and all the other costs associated with design, which are listed below. The Anti-Bias Club is willing to be in charge of the donations that will then go to the artists. And we hope to raise these funds or donations through the community. Excess funds that we have will be donated to a nonprofit dedicated to supporting Black people and fighting for equal rights. We are highly considering the organization Black Lives Matter LA. Next slide, please.
So the people involved in this mural project are members of the Anti-Bias Club. So everyone who introduced themselves earlier, and also Kat Flores, an incoming senior who wasn't able to join us today, but is still very passionate about the project. And the club advisor for the Anti-Bias Club is the SPHS principal, Janet Anderson. So she's our club advisor and will, you know, be the adult who helps oversee this process. We've also been working with some of the public art commissioners, Fung and Dr. Sawyer, who have been assisting us with more of the technical side and, you know, just helping us through this process so far. And we've also been in touch with the community at large through some Zoom meetings that we've held, and we have a Google Doc where community members were able to input their ideas and for the designs. So yeah, so we've already had some community input on what our vision, and that's kind of what went into this proposal. Next slide. So looking into the future and where we are right now, we're currently trying to finalize a request for qualifications to send out to artists. So then we can generate interest and then in hopes of hiring an artist. And we're still working out like a timeline for, you know, when we need the applications in by. But just tentatively, we will email out the RFQ to as many artists as we can. So we're going to try to use connections we have through the schools, the city, and then also through the Public Art Commission. And once we receive a sufficient number, which we haven't determined yet, we will then narrow down through that preliminary application to some artists who we feel might fit the community and ask them for more ideas specifically pertaining to the Black Lives Matter mural. And then from that smaller pool of applicants, we would then choose the artists best fitting for the community and who would work with us to create this project. So that's kind of what the road ahead would look like. Next slide.
Just really quickly, I think it's important to note that the Anti-Bias Club is willing to be in charge of the maintenance of the mural, and if needed, we can raise additional funds from the community. We also plan on developing a contract that the artists will sign to ensure the physical integrity of their art. Next slide, please.
Thank you all so much for listening, and we hope that through this proposal we can gain your support and guidance to continue this project for a Black Lives Matter mural. Thank you.
Hey, thank you so much for that wonderful presentation. I hate to admit that Jazz is right. I was blown away. I guess we should open this up now to any questions that that our commission has for this group.
I just want to say I'm so proud of these young folks. They did their homework, they did their research, and they presented this with such heart, soul, and confidence, you know, and it's very professionally done, and like knowing what an RFQ is and, you know, pool of artists and all that. And I really wanted us to do our best to support them. Congratulations on just like the presentation, you know.
Yes, Dr. Schneider.
I might suggest that, first of all, I thought it was very, very interesting, very well done. But I might suggest that if you're looking for a list of artists, you might contact us, South Pasadena Arts Council, because they had put out requests for artists for all the utility box art that's been done around the city. And they probably have a list of good artists. Many of them are local artists, people who live in town. So you might contact them. They can help you find some good artists. If you're going to do a competition, you'll get a lot of responses.
Anyone else with any general comments?
You're muted, Jeff.
Is Jeff trying to?
Yeah.
Oh,
yes.
Yes.
Right, sorry. First of all, I want to commend them. I think that the motivations are 100% in the right direction. And I like where you're going with this. I do. I have a couple of suggestions and a process question, which I think is kind of the most important thing that I'm wondering about this. I noticed you're doing an RFQ, and Fung, I'm assuming that they worked with you and Jazz on putting this idea together. So I see that you're going to be asking for qualifications, and I presume that would include, you know, past work and portfolios and things and that. And you have some ideas of what you want laid out, but I'm wondering, in the end, who is actually going to be doing the art direction? Who is the one who's going to be proposing the design, and then who's going to be approving it? Because it sounds like everything is a committee leading towards things, but I don't see the trigger being pulled by anyone in particular. What's the thought on that?
I can speak to that a little bit. I think we really want this to be, you know, a product of the community and the artists. So that's why we've already been collaborating with the community to think of these design ideas and our vision. So the design is going to be, it's not just going to be up to the artist's discretion. It's going to be, you know, a back and forth between the community and the artist. As far as the more specific decision making, I think that's, you know, the Anti-Bias Club, and more specifically, the people here, and in addition to Kat, who couldn't make it, but, you know, the 5 of us have kind of been the ones leading this. And so I'm assuming that we would be the ones kind of with the final decision making, but you know, we're gonna be contacting the community and kind of see what they're thinking too, if that answers your question.
You say the community. Um, Let me just throw out as a thought to you that that is a horrible idea. Okay, you should never have a piece of artwork designed by the community. Okay, what you should do instead is either you as a team decide what you want, or the artist that you select should maybe come up with a proposed idea. Your engagement with the community on this, and honestly, this is the best way to do it, should be with us. You should come to the Public Art Commission and say, here's where we want to put it, right? And you need to take some very definitive steps, because if you simply say, oh, I think that, you know, we're going to have everybody involved and everybody's going to have an opinion and we're all going to decide this together, recipe for disaster, my friend. Recipe for disaster. I can tell you that is not how things work in the world. Okay, the best way to do this is either have the artist propose something. So instead of you could do an RFQ. An RFP might be more to the point. Have someone just design, once you've decided what your actual location is going to be, go ahead and you know, design that out, send that out as part of the proposal. Let people propose designs to you. Send them everything that you've got, all the stuff that you just showed to us, all of your thoughts. Let the artist come up with a design that you like. Send them in. You guys can choose whoever you want to do, but doing RFQs, so like when I do an RFQ for City of LA or somebody else, you know, you are being put into a pool for projects that are going to be designed later on. Isn't that right, Steve? That's generally, I think, how it works.
Yep.
I would suggest you might be more successful with just create an RFP, say, here's what we're going to do it, here are all the things that we are thinking of, here's what we're looking for, what have you got? And then you can judge who you want to select by a combination of the winning proposal design as well as their experience and work history. Just a thought. Also, too, if you want to make this, get the most possible reach that you can, I think Dr. Schneider is absolutely right. Reach out to Spark, they can help. I think there are a few other organizations that are a little bit larger that may be able to help as well. One of them is callforentry.org. I don't know, I think that's their for-profit. They specifically do this, and I know that I get their regular newsletters, and most of the other artists in America who do murals and things get that. Callforentry.org can actually help you to send out, you can do everything on their platform. I have never done it myself, and I'm not involved with them at all, but I know that I see an awful lot of what they send out. Similarly, there is a local organization, God, it used to be Visual Art Source, and now I think it's Fabric, but if you pay to have an announcement, and you know, you guys are a high school club, they would cut you a lot of slack. Go to Visual Art Source or Fabric, I will find the contact info for you. They can blast out an email to 30,000 artists that are in the entire Southwest region of the US. I would definitely use that. I think it's gonna cost, you know, the normal cost for an artist to do a blast with them is like $400. You guys are, you're as nonprofit as nonprofits go. So I think you should be able to probably get, cut a good deal with that. Finally, I would recommend to you, much like Spark, but a little bit larger would be the LA Art Association. Contact LAAA.org. The director's name is Peter Mays. He is a great guy. They can take whatever you want to send to them, and if you're doing a call of whatever sort, and they can push it out to their 500 or 600 artist members that are all local LA people, and a lot of whom do murals. Just a few thoughts.
Thank you, Jeff. I do have a few comments that relate to what Jeff was mentioning. I both agree with Jeff about community input and disagree. I think that it is important to get community buy-in, but it has to be finite. And I think you all have already been doing that. You said you've met with the community, and my question would be like, who did you actually meet with? But before you start out, at the very early stages, have public input from the community, you know, sessions, maybe just 1 or 2 or 3 more, and then close it off at the very beginning. So you then have your community input. But then after that, I think it does become a mess. And I completely agree with Jeff. If you open the door for community input, then you could be in debate for years about what the content of this mural actually is. But I do have some questions about it's great that you guys are going big. That you all are thinking like, okay, we could get some professional artists in. We have a $10,000 budget, which I think is great because we should pay artists living wages. But my question is like, why hire professional artists? I mean, I think you do need some artists to give, like professional artists to maybe advise at the very least. But my question to you all is why not do it yourselves? I'm sure South Pass High has plenty of talented artists. I'm assuming that there's some talented artists within your group. But why go the professional route? Community murals. I mean, I think that is one direction, which I'm not disagreeing with, but I'm wondering why that route.
If I can speak to that really fast. First, I just wanted to mention that as far as the community meetings, we've kind of done exactly what you're saying. Like we've done one or two meetings and we haven't carried them on further than that. So we have one Google Doc that has all the ideas that the community members or like members of the community have brainstormed, and we haven't gone further with that. And I think as far as hiring a professional artist, this is something we all talked about together. And I just think that I think we all think that with a professional artist, there's almost less room for error, and we can see exactly what their vision is and collaborate with them because we know their vision, if that makes sense.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense to me. Are there any? To follow up that community question, like when you invited the community to provide input, like who is like community is a very nebulous term. Is it like the South Pasadena general community? Like who attended these community meetings?
So I think I feel like
Okay, Noah, at least on my end, you're cutting out.
Yeah.
Obviously, you're mobile.
I do see Dr. Schneider raising his hand as well.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Schneider.
I would like to ask the club, do you have a preference for the location in the city? Do you have your own preference?
Yes, we do have a preference. We're more leaning toward the mural on City Hall or at the library.
Okay. Do you want to present this to City Council to suggest that we put the mural on City Hall or the library?
Dr. Schneider, with all respect, maybe it should go through the Public Arts Commission first and then go forward to the City Council.
Okay, good idea.
Not that I'm doing any turf defending or anything, but just, there's a process here, you know.
Good process.
That would be good because by then, the artist is selected, their proposal is fine-tuned. I think that would be better. I agree.
So again, I know you guys have about 5 options there, but now it's time to go ahead and, have one, right, which is City Hall, and the second option is the library, and just put all the cards on the table. So it seems like you have your 2 preferences, and at least your first one, and that's what you need to roll with now.
I agree, and if I could say one other thing, I agree with Steve Wong an awful lot with the idea of what is wrong with having South Pass students paint the mural. I mean, you cut through the nonsense that's involved with all of these kinds of projects by a lot. If you are going to decide for yourselves what your design is going to be anyway, there's a very good chance that you might get somebody who's an experienced muralist to be able to help you with the process of how to physically, produce a mural, how to outline it, how to transfer it from a small piece of paper to a big wall. But I like that idea that Steve had about why don't you guys do it? You'll also get, I think, less pushback from the community with that.
Yeah, but I think the club is, wanting to engage the community and get an artist because, I guess they don't, and I'm not speaking on behalf of you guys, but you don't want to maybe feel like this is just a club project and, you really want the whole city to be involved. Is that kind of the reasoning why you guys don't want to do it? Because you could have just said that in the beginning, right? But I don't think that's your intention, is for you guys to do it.
And I might add to that, whether whether or not you go with a professional artist or not, even if you get a professional artist, I would like to see at some point. I mean, I know there's going to be back and forth with this artist in terms of developing it, which is great. But also, there's something about actually executing the painting of it. Even if it's driven by professional artists, there can be like community painting days for like background or non-essential stuff that you don't, that even a 5-year-old could help paint, do block painting in the background. And so even if you, I mean, I would like to see if there's an RFQ and you continue to decide to seek a professional artist, that there is some willingness of that artist to engage with some public painting days or community painting days that the community could actually have a hand in painting. Because then there's also buy-in from the community that hey, I painted those tree leaves, but I think it's something to consider. Not all artists will be open to that, but there are definitely some artists that would be, of course, that's the way, that's my practice. So that's something I would like you all to consider too.
I think that came up, and I think the anti-bias club, but we're not artists, and we don't want to. I think that was the hesitancy, but I agree with Steve. An example would be like Judy Baca's Great Wall, Los Angeles, near my campus. And another one is Kent Twitchell was commissioned by my college to paint a large mural, and he did invite students and community to paint along with him. It still looked like Kent Twitchell, but the students and community were so excited that they got to participate. So that would be awesome. Yeah, I agree with Steve, like getting an artist, to engage with you guys so that your hands are in it too. It's possible.
I think that's something that we can definitely consider.
Okay, great.
Can I just add
yes,
really quickly that if I think those, thank you so much for your presentation. That was, I have to say, I've listened to a lot of these presentations, and that was better than many, professional artists presenting on their work and projects that they want to do. So congratulations on that. But just to echo what Feng and Steve were saying, I think that if you, as part of the way that you're describing the work you want the artist to do, forefront the idea of community involvement in the way that, we have been speaking, and then also even just simply saying that you want community to participate in painting days. The way you craft the call for qualifications or proposals will bring the kinds of artists that you want to the project. That you'll get the right kind of applications, or the applications that you're looking for if you craft the call carefully. So that would be my suggestion, but you guys are definitely on the right track.
Thank you, Chris. I do have another question, and excuse me if this was already discussed and I just didn't see it, but what's the general timeline for this?
I think we're still in the early processes, especially with the RFQ and trying to figure out how to format that. So I don't think we've exactly crafted a timeline, but that's definitely something that we need to get working on.
Okay. The reason I say this too, and I'm partial to painting on City Hall because I saw the gas station in front. And if you've ever been in Chinatown on College and Hill Street, I was an advisor to a high school mural. But the process, because what Jeff was saying, that was my first mural that I painted many years ago, and we opened it up to the community. And because we opened it up to the community, it took 3 years to execute. And so the high school students that I was working with, who initiated the mural, they were in college by the time we were actually painting it. And so some of them came back from college to help paint it, but it was definitely a long process. And so hopefully with advice from Jeff, hopefully it won't be 3 years. And it'll be a lot sooner. But I do. These are big. Anything public art related is going to be. It's going to take some time, and there is a process. And I just want to make sure that you guys had some general idea, and knowing that maybe some of you might not be around in high school, at least by the time the mural gets unveiled. Are there
Dr.
any other
Snyder.
questions from the commission?
Yeah, I would like to have Jeff explain from an artist's viewpoint, what's the difference between an RFP and an RFQ for the kids for the club members who might be putting this out? How would you view the difference?
That is actually a very good question. It was what I was touching on earlier. Generally speaking, an RFP, a request for a proposal, is a specific proposal for a specific project. And it sounds like you have a very specific project here. So what you're asking for in an RFP is usually a design of a project that you're going to execute. An RFQ, a request for qualifications, usually that is a way of a bigger organization to just sort of create a pool of artists from whom they can then send out other, calls for specific projects. I think that what you're doing really, if that's how I understand it. Now, I could be wrong, but my suggestion would be get right to the meat of the point. Go ahead and make this an RFP. You've got a project. Let's see proposals. What are people going to do? Don't pussyfoot around. Just get right to it.
And to follow up what Jeff mentioned, yeah, that's how pretty much I understand it too. Because right now there's a $10,000 budget, I don't know how much will be allocated to the artist fee. But RFQs are kind of sometimes a lazier way of just saying, hey, I'm qualified. Do you like my past work? Whereas if artists know there's some money involved, they will then invest in proposing something that's aligned, it's already taken into consideration of what you're already thinking about. And so sometimes it's harder to ask people to come up with a proposal, to really think about what you are doing. But it sounds like you already know and have a vision. And so, yes, I think the RFP would be best applicable in this case. And the RFQ is just kind of making sure that people are qualified to execute a mural and just building up a pool. So yeah, I think it should be an RFP, but it is a bigger investment on both ends.
That was my fault, guys, because I suggested the RFQ because Noah was afraid. He wanted to get just to get a sense of the best artist, and you know how it is as artists. Sometimes I just don't want to apply for that, So the idea was to have an RFQ to get a pool of artists, and then to choose from that, and then pay them to do a proposal, But then, that's something to discuss. Maybe just going straight to the RFP might be more direct.
Yeah, we work with the group, and they really got a lot together, as you guys can see. And I think at this point, to Jeff's, Commissioner Burke's point, they should go ahead with an RFQ because at the same time, if you do qualifications, when you send it out to the 60,000 people, you might get 60,000 artists that you got to then choose from. So that, going back to the 3-year mark, you guys might be graduated college the time you figure out, who an artist could be. So, but I think you guys have so much together here, and, with the feedback. So, obviously you all will have to make that decision, but I think, the consensus is pretty obvious, but, it's up to you all what you want to do. But, you just want to take this feedback and see what you guys come up with. But you're really ahead of the game. And that's the great part about this, how you guys presented it. Just well done, too. I wanted to say that, by the way.
If I could make
Yes,
one other
Jeff.
comment too, just to follow on what you were saying, Steve. Timing, you guys, God bless you for doing what you're doing. I think you, like I say, you had the right motivations. I think you're trying to do something really cool. I see potential disenchantment and unhappiness based on the project getting drawn out and out and out. And like Steve says, it would be very easy for you to be in college by the time this thing happens. You know, doing a mural like this in town, especially in a town like this where everybody, God bless our residents, everybody has an opinion, okay, about things. This is like doing a development project. This is like trying to build a building in South Pasadena, okay, which is not the easiest thing to do. And I can tell you because I've done it, okay, and it was hard. It's very hard. Seriously, what you should really do, if you want to make this thing happen while you are still in high school, my suggestion to you would be come up with a timeline of the whole project. Just blue sky it out. Like ideally, when would we like to have this done? And you know, you're all going to be juniors. Is there no junior and seniors? I forget how old everybody was.
We got a couple seniors, so they got limited.
Well, good luck on that one. But you know, you can be involved and you can still take part whenever. But you know, really, seriously, come up with a timeline of how you want to do this. And if you really are committed to doing this, and if you really feel like you can make this happen, my suggestion to you would be come up with a timeline of getting it done when you want to get it done, and then work backwards to make everything else work, which is going to mean in some cases, you're going to have to make leaps of faith about things. Like number one, you want to raise all this money, right? That is not an easy lift, okay? That's going to be tough, and that's going to take some time. So you have to work on the money part of it. You need somebody doing that. You need somebody coming up with the design. You need somebody working city government, which is us, and then the council and whomever else. And then you have to schmooze all the locals and make sure that people are happy with this. But if you really want to see this get done before you're old and gray, my suggestion would be come up with a timeline, make it work, be military about it. This is what I'm saying.
Thanks, Jeff. And one way, just really quickly, and I don't necessarily want to push this, I want to have you all decide, but one way to cut back on some of that bureaucracy and delay would be to paint it yourselves, to be honest.
Right.
Just so you know, I'm still open to hiring a professional. I think that could make it easier in some ways, but I think in terms of a timeline, it will definitely shrink the timeline if you bring in an artist as an advisor, or rather than someone actually creating the mural. So just that thought.
And we'll still have to bring it by city council to see if we can get the location approved. So that's some other time we need to allot as well.
I would just like to say too, I think we're speaking, we're trying to speak to the realities of getting this done, and it's because we really believe in this project and we want you to do it, and so we're trying to give it, make sure that everyone knows the realities of this. I want to see this happen, and I will do everything within my power to help facilitate that. And so don't take this as that some people in the commission are poo-pooing this, but this is our commitment to try to help you guys, you all to get this done. And so just things to think about. I do have I know we're running a little late on time, but I do have another question in terms of content. I everything that I heard was great. I like the shift away from memorializing necessarily people who have been faced with state sanctioned brutality, but at the same time, I always like to localize things too, and so content. My question is there a way to profile African Americans who believe in this movement locally? That's my one question. And the other question in terms of not content, but if it does go to an RFQ or RFP, and we decide this as the commission, we're thinking about this too, but it would always be great to have a local artist, even there's plenty of professional artists, and so living in South Pasadena. So that's something that we can as Jeff was saying earlier, we could blast this out nationwide. And because I do know in the budget you mentioned travel costs too, but maybe, and it's up to you all about the parameters of it. What if you kind of reined in some of the parameters and said, okay, this RFQ is based for South Pasadena muralists or artists. So I just want you all to think about that too, or if it hasn't already been thought about.
I think they said LA County. I think that was
LA
right.
County.
Yeah.
That would make sense.
And that fits into what the Art Commission we've been talking about opening up our city. Like, we're not just a small town to our, as a viable art center in relation to LA, So I don't think it has to be a South Pass artist. Just saying.
I agree. So Commissioner Wong, it is in your power as the chair of this commission to be able to establish an ad hoc committee. You can do so simply by saying the words.
Okay.
I would recommend that you do.
So thank you. Unless, does anyone else have any questions for this amazing group of students here?
Hey guys, one last question. You mentioned some of the figures, musicians and people. Have you guys thought about, have you come up with a list of people you're thinking about, or was that just a general idea for the mural?
I think sorry. You can go
ahead. Okay. I think that was kind of general. We haven't really dialed in on kind of a main group of people yet, but I think that's tentative, and we can always kind of group together and see who we would like to put on.
I just want to reiterate what Commissioner Steve Wong said about local history. I like the sundowntown aspect, but maybe London Lang, who's been starting the movement here, should be in it. I don't know, So.
And the young lady at the pool, it's another way to highlight the history, but obviously the change has happened since then, so that might be a way. Someone to consider too.
And just to cap that off, the mural that I worked with high school students many years ago in Chinatown, we actually did interviews. We spent maybe half a year doing interviews with the local community. That's why it took so long too. But we identified people who were just community members. It was just an average person. It wasn't a famous person. It wasn't a person in a movement. It was just a local community member who believed in what we were doing. And so, I think of course there's a reason why this mural is being painted, but also consider just, who's in the community, who's an average person who is aligned with Black Lives Matter. So that's something to think about too. That said, we should move on. And I don't know if I need to bring a motion to form an ad hoc committee with the students here. Or Margaret, do we keep the students here while we continue, or?
Excuse the students if you like. And also when you form the ad hoc, if you can choose the two commissioners and have the commission vote on that.
Oh, I choose.
Well, you can open it up.
Okay. So I think, thank you so much for, Dr. Schneider, did you have something to say?
No, your commission can choose, you don't have to choose, the commission can choose the subcommittee, and then you vote, you have a motion and establish it by vote.
Okay, thank you. So I think we're good with questions. Thank you so much for your presentation. It was an amazing presentation. I'm really looking forward to seeing this happen. And don't let us down now. We're anticipating reviewing this at some point as a commission. So thank you so much for your hard work, for your passion, and for presenting this to us today.
Thank you all.
Yeah, thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having us.
Guys.
Okay. And so I would like to form the ad hoc committee, and maybe we should open it up to discussing. I guess who would like to be on it? I mean, I would just nominate the people who are already engaged with Fung and Jazz, Commissioner Fung, Commissioner Jazz. But does anyone have any questions or want to
Yeah, I would
be involved?
actually. I'd actually like to nominate maybe someone else, not because it's not. I don't want to work with them, but I think initially, no, serious. Initially I think we did a great job with Commissioner Fung and all her help to kind of get the ideas rolling. But now, as we go to maybe a RFP, there's some more technical things that I think artists like Chris, and Commissioner Chris, and Burke have more experience than I as the musician on the crew. So I'm more than happy to continue. But I would, if someone else wants to help out with the technical aspects, I think it could put it over the top.
I think Dr. Sawyer, you need to be there because the young people were so like you guided them in a way that was important to them emotionally and psychologically. Like you have to be there. I'm sorry.
I agree.
You're off the hook again. You're off the hook.
Jazz, you could see right away that they had a certain relationship with you. That was very beneficial. So I think you should be on it too.
Okay, no problem. I'll be calling you, Jeff.
I'm always here to help out wherever you need.
I'm happy to stay on with Jazz too, and happy to be a liaison and communicate back with the rest of you. But if anybody really, really wants to do it, I'm not gonna be in your way either.
I think I did hear from Commissioner Jeff that he thinks Jazz would do it. I just want to make sure we're not excluding Chris. No? Okay. And so
perfectly fine. Yeah, that sounds great. Carry on.
Okay.
Do
I put a motion in to nominate Jazz and Fong? Yeah. I move to nominate Jazz and Fong to be our ad hoc committee for, what are we calling this project?
The Black
Good question.
The BLM mural.
Lions Club mural.
Okay. All right. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, thank you. And so we now have our ad hoc committee for the BLM mural.
Yay.
Yay. Thank you, everyone. I know it's getting late, but I just have one question. This seems like it could be really controversial, potentially.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully not, but is there going to be, is the group going to face a lot of questioning, and how can we support that if so? Or am I just making this up?
If I can jump out there just to respond, I what's going to happen is, and this is one of the reasons, Dr. Schneider, that I had said maybe it should go through us first. We can spend the kind of time that it takes to be able to look at a design that's proposed and talk about it and fathom through it. It's my thought that it's our job as the Public Arts Commission to fully digest what they're presenting and to decide, is it the kind of thing that we want to put in the city, number one? Secondly, will there be a lot of heat for it? Are there going to be people that don't like it or that have issues with it? And I think it's going to be up to us to have long, discussions about that. Okay. So chances are it will be controversial, but that's, come on, Public Art Commission. We signed up for it, right?
Yep.
I mean, hell, without the history.
I think Jeff's absolutely right. I didn't mean to jump ahead of him. No, I think this is where it should go. It should go through your commission, and there will be some opposition. I mean, it's not going to be thousands of people, but there might be one or two or a handful of people who are opposed to it. But that's the way things go in politics and in the city.
Okay.
Fortunately, we don't have to run for election. So there you go. We can speak our minds and do the things that we think are right, and not have to worry about paying the price at the ballot box.
Yeah.
Like some people, Rick.
I'm not running for re-election.
You're running again. You're done. You're done. In fact, I was almost going to call you a short timer when you weren't here on time today,
And my last question for you all, since we're just talking about it, is would there be, would it be easier and streamlined if they do it on private property versus public property? owned by the city? Does anyone know? I'm just curious if we could
Again,
give
it's
recommendations to them.
Well, I believe that there is no ordinance in the South Pasadena Municipal Code that says anything about private, non-commercial murals on private property. And I'm kind of banking on that because I have a mural up on my building over at 99 Pass. I'm serious.
Yeah.
The city currently, as I understand it, has absolutely silent on the matter of private art on private property, or public art on private property. Now, maybe city attorney might have another thought about that. I don't know, but I believe that's right. Am I right, Rick?
I don't think we should ask the question.
Okay.
I agree with you 100%.
Okay.
Forgiveness,
All right.
not permission. Is that what you're saying?
That's right. Yeah.
Okay. And so I think we're done. Unless anyone has anything else to say, other than if there's any updates, Dr. Schneider. Go back to you.
I'd like to let you know that there is a resolution coming to council, I believe this next meeting, which is August 5th, about inclusivity in the city and about non-discrimination, which just ties in perfectly with this. And the only reason I was jumping ahead, Jeff, is I was thinking this would tie in perfectly, with that resolution coming forward to have a mural from the Anti-Bias Club coming forward. But it doesn't have to be that way. But I just would like to say that. And who was it that was mentioning about the lightning fast operations of the council? I think it was Jeff, wasn't it?
I would never say such a thing, just so you know.
Okay. No, I have no other report.
Actually, for what it's worth, as a suggestion, why don't you invite them to come and present at city council meeting and let the council know that they are working with the Public Arts Commission, and it will tie in perfectly with the thing that you're working on now.
Does the commission want me to do that?
Well, I don't see a problem with it. They're still working, with us and through us, but
No, man, are we not jumping ahead too fast? If you'd like me to do that, I'll suggest that to the mayor and he can put it on as a special, a presentation.
Well, I would ask the ad hoc committee members what they think, because they're the ones most involved with it.
Yeah, what do you think?
I think they did such a great job with their presentation. It wouldn't hurt for them to just prime people for it, right?
Okay.
Kind of more buy-in, and that's a good thing, right?
Okay, I'll see if we can get it on this agenda or maybe the next, wherever there's room.
Build a little motivation to help get this thing moving, because once you publicly announce it, then everybody's kind of watching you to see where this goes, and that will help make it move faster.
Yeah, it might also help with their fundraising.
It might, absolutely.
They raised half the funds already.
What? Oh, that's great.
Seriously?
Yeah.
They left that out of their.
Yeah, that's.
you can't count the young people out. They do a lot of faster things. They do things a lot faster than we think.
If they get a lot of money, they might want to expand this project into something bigger.
Are they working currently with a 501c3 or somebody that can help them bring money in?
No, I think they're just the club. They're just the South Pass Anti-Bias Club, and
they could go through Spark. Spark has a relationship with Pasadena.
Absolutely. I was going to say that because, once money starts changing hands, depending on who you're giving the money to, there's tax implications.
Yeah.
So that's why you need a 501c3.
And if you worked under the umbrella of Spark, who works under Pasadena, whatever it is up there, they have that 501c connection.
Okay. Well, I think we've come to a conclusion of our meeting. Thank you, everyone, for the time. I need help. How do I close out a meeting? Do we just say we're adjourned? Was that?
Call for an adjournment.
Okay. Is that a question, or do I say we're adjourned?
Steve, we gotta send you the breakdown.
I would like to say this is the most enjoyable commission meeting I've ever been in.
But you're on the best.
There's a lot more stress and heartache.
Well, it's good to hear, Dr. Schneider. So I move to adjourn.
Thank you,
Second.
everyone. Thank
Bye.
you so much.
Okay, thank you, everyone.
Good night.
Bye.
Have a good night.